Hi, good early morning. This is Avalon Caravan. Um, just a quick sort of catch up on what's been going on. I had my birthday last week, which was nice. Although I did go shopping, which is never a good thing to do. I hate going into the towns now. It's just so full of people. You tend to find after a while of living on your own in a caravan, off grid, or to be fair, on your own in a village or wherever in a house, being out of a town, you start to realise sort of how much is sort of getting at your head when you're in there. Um, the noise, the atmosphere, the pollution, everything. There's so much going on. It's like a sensory overload to your sort of your brain. You think to yourself, well, you know, why do people put themselves through that? There's some people love cities. I mean, that's just even multiplying it even more. When I found that out, when I've actually stayed in houses recently after living here, um, and you can't sleep. There is just so much noise. You've got things switching on and off and on and off, like fridges and freezers and stuff like that. You've got your standby lights all over the place. You can hear the hum of sort of the central heating, or the noise of the fridge, or the hum coming from the sort of a very high pitched one that comes from sockets. There's so much electromagnetism flying around in a house that I now can sense it, and I now feel sort of bombarded, by that sort of sense. I mean, don't get me wrong, yes, people go on about how quiet living in the countryside is, how quiet living sort of an off-grid life is. But when it's really, really quiet, the noise from actually your head, your body, this sort of weird sort of high, so not too high pitched, but a sound that just sort of is there, almost like the workings of your brain is going. It's a weird sort of thing, and a lot of you will know this one, because no matter how silent it is, you can hear yourself. And to be fair, you become attuned to all sorts of noises out. I mean, I live on a farm, so you've got the noise of the animals. You can hear birds trotting around on top of your caravan. On a night, you can hear traffic from miles away. It may not even be, you might be 5, 10 miles away, but you can hear it. You're listening to things like the geese flying over, in autumn coming in for the winter. There's so much going on that if you just go outside at night and stand and listen, you cannot, realise how much is going on, how much noise there actually is in the quiet countryside. I mean, let's say I went into town to pick up some bits and bobs. I tend to buy, I know it's wrong sometimes ways, but buying things on the internet when you live in the countryside is one of the few things. Oh, excuse me, it's quite late, I've just finished work. And you tend to be able to shop more when you're actually sort of in the countryside online. My whole social life, in some respects, apart from the work colleagues and stuff like that, but people I talk to, or type to as it is, are all online, social media. You're looking at Instagram or this, my YouTube channel or Facebook. I'm a member of quite a lot of off-grid groups, quite a lot of sort of prep type groups that are full of people that actually understand you, who know what you're going through, the highs, the lows, they're always there for you. You may not be able to physically meet them, or sometimes you do. Oh, dear me. It's what you get for working too much and working late. But they're there. They've probably been through it as well. And this is why we should be here, because we also should be there to help other people that are trying to live this lifestyle. I mean, I'm a baby with it, to be fair. I've done it before. This time I'm pretty much now a year in to living in this caravan, which is totally off grid. You know, there's no running water, there's no mains electricity. You know, I have gas bottles for my fridge. For my fridge and for my cooking and for my heating. So, I mean, I collect my water from a tap further up the lane, which is drinking water. It comes from a sort of its own sort of spring, which is just up the hillside. So it's good quality water. But also, you know, you think to yourself, some people will never understand that sort of peace that we have as far as off-grid's concerned. We can sort of, no matter what happens, we have this little sort of, almost this little cave of our own that we can retire to, you know. And I know this is something that preppers feel, you know, as well as preparing for whatever's going to happen, that they think is going to happen, or maybe going to happen. I don't know. I'm not quite that far down the prepping line, you know. They want that little bolt hole. They want that bug out place, as they call it, where they can go and just disappear. And to be honest, you know, that's a skill. You know, I mean, to be able to do that, to be able to go away and just exist away from absolutely everything. It's very difficult now to do that, you know, with everything being on yeah, I'll tell you about it, online, because it's very hard to disappear because people know where you are. Doesn't matter what you're doing, whether you're driving or whatever, you pass safety cameras, speed cameras, you know, you get money out of the bank, you go through cameras which are watching you from the police, you know, for the safety. You know, your phone is always there. You know, people wear smart watches. You know, there's so much that actually knows exactly what you're doing and where you are. It's going to be very difficult for people to absolutely disappear. God, I'm so sorry about this. It's just catching up with me a bit. The last few days I've felt a bit sort of down in some respects. You start to sometimes feel, you know, you are quite lonely. Yes, you're on your own, and quite a lot of the time I don't feel lonely. You know, I don't need that sort of bit of communication with a human. But, you know, there are some times when you're sat here, the last couple of days the weather's been atrocious. It's been thick fog, rain, wind, there's mud everywhere. And sometimes, you know, you close your blinds and it makes no difference. You are in this little box that's sort of totally isolated. You know, there's nothing out there. It's miserable. You can't raise the enthusiasm. You can't raise the energy to go out. You know, and that's quite a dangerous thing when you start slipping into that. It's not something I do, to be honest. I can spend a lot of time on my own, but I don't feel lonely. It's just occasionally it happens, you know, and I think living this sort of lifestyle also makes it very, very difficult to meet anybody else. You know, a partner, because you've got so used to your own routine, your own lifestyle. Everything, you know, revolves around yourself. It's very, very sort of like self-centered life, to be fair. But I enjoy that. You know, I enjoy that solitude. But there's a difference between solitude and loneliness. And lonely people, you know, like I felt for a couple of days, it plays on you. You know, you think to yourself, do I really want to do this? You know, this is really, really miserable life I'm living at the moment. And then you wake up the next day and go, actually, you know, you open your blinds, the birds are singing, the countryside is out there, the trees are moving, the sky is beautiful and clear, and you think to yourself how lucky you are to live this sort of lifestyle. So, it swings and roundabouts, and it always will be. Sort of on a different note, obviously you're talking, it was my birthday, so I just picked up something like that, nice little Celtic magnetic copper bangle, which is there to try and help the fact that I'm getting older. I do have joint pain, so I'm hoping that's going to help me, along with sort of fish oils and whatever else I'm taking at the moment. Also, to pick up a tool, that I'd had delivered from the internet. Now, if you have a garden to prepare food and this sort of thing, to grow what you want to eat, the only tool that I think that you need is an old-fashioned digging hoe, and I've dug through all sorts of one of these. You can plough with it, you can dig with it, you can rake over with it. There's so much you can do with one of those. You don't have to have that fork. You don't have to have, rakes and all the rest of it. A digging hoe is just an amazing piece of kit, which is, a very old style of sort of gardening. You can do anything. But, if I was to say have one tool, that would definitely be it for the garden. It's brilliant. So if you haven't got one, go and get yourself one. Digging hoe, really strong. Don't buy a cheap one with a little gooseneck. It's all metal. They snap, unless you buy an incredibly expensive one. If you can get yourself a good old-fashioned second-hand one, even better, because they're built to last. So I'm hoping to get some videos done shortly of me sort of breaking soil on the new plot. It's had work done to it before in the past, but whoever did it just hasn't kept it up, and it is very difficult. It's time consuming, but I'm determined to do something about this. But well, it was just sort of a quick sort of chat, really. I was also sort of trying out this new mic just to see if it's any better than actually listening to myself on the phone. I thought it, particularly when I'm out and about doing stuff on the garden and talking about it, I'll be able to have the camera set up to video, but actually people will be able to hear me as well. I don't know your experience with that sort of thing. Anyway, I hope that sort of gives you a little bit of an insight of what's been happening here at Avalon Caravan. So this is me saying goodbye, be safe. Avalon Caravan, good night.